Hello, everyone. Super excited for today's guest member on an Empowered in Heels. Our beautiful author from Empowered in Heels 4, Cindy Robinson, is online. But I'm just going to give you a short summary of her bio. Cindy Robinson is a wedding officiant, and she personalized wedding scripts that makes each couple's a unique day on their wedding day. She has a journey of addiction, and she empowered herself by healing herself by the grace of God. And honestly, it's amazing how I met her. I always say God sends me people for a reason. Um, I was at the airport coming back from LA, exhausted, and I believe all the seats were kind of full, and there was one seat that I sat on, and I was working on my phone. I think I was working with the magazine, and a lady sits beside me. And then we start chatting, and she tells me like about her journey, and then we just clicked. And then I told her, "Well, I'm an author of a book of Empowered in Heels." She goes, "Oh my goodness, I was looking to write my story," and we just connected instantly. And I am so proud of her because her story is amazing. It overcomes her journey. Like if you see her today, where she is and where you would never know her past, basically. And she was so lucky and happy and go getter. I was astonished. But I'm going to bring her on now. Hi, Cindy. How are you?
I'm
I'm
good,
so blessed
Susie.
to have you on Empowered in Heels, and sharing your beautiful story was really touching my heart. So please introduce yourself a bit.
Sure. My name is Cindy Robinson. Currently live in Port Dover, Ontario. I'm excited to be part of the journey with the co-authors of Empowered in Heels, and truly to understand that we are a group of women designed to help others. And so this is up my alley, and I appreciate the opportunity to do so.
Well, I think that's why God connected us, because you're so empowered. And when you were telling me how a little bit of your past, you didn't get into too much, and how you overcame everything that you went through, and that God was the one that really brought you to where you are today, right?
That is the
Um,
truth.
so I am so happy. So how was it to see and get that book in hand? Were you
It was extremely exciting. It was to be able to know that it was a dream of mine in my heart to be able to tell somewhat of my journey, and to know that it would help others, and to be able to have that book in my hand, and to understand that there was a platform made to be able to do it, to express the journey, to help others be free, or at least understand there's a potential of freedom, was exciting to be able to know that it was a dream come true.
I, you know what, as I said in the other interviews, this book was the easiest for me. All of the stories were so different to each other, which was kind of great, because sometimes I get too many of the same type and I have to kind of disperse it and kind of tell people, let's wait for the next book. But this one, really, everyone flowed evenly. It was like meant to be. Um, so, what inspired you to share your story in Empowered in Heels, and what impact do you hope to have on the readers?
Yeah, so part of the inspiration was what you said about with our introduction of us meeting. I knew that it was a divine appointment, that in the brief time that we had together, that we shared so intimately and so readily about our lives and the stories, and how you are helping others, and that's my desire too. So I was definitely on board right away to share my story in co-author in the book that you were producing. So yeah.
And I loved your drive, because when I came back, I was still unloading my stuff. You know, when you go on, I was in LA covering the Globes there, and I like unloading my stuff and everything. And you sent that email like you had that drive that you wanted to be in the book, which I really admire. A lot of people talk, 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 and then don't do it. You actually had the drive to do it. So I'm
Yes.
proud of you. Was there a defining moment in your journey that shifted your perspectives or gave you resilience and strength?
Yeah, there's a couple of very significant ones. First of all, and I do share it in my story, is the emptiness and the broken identity that I had. And it was in that place where I really couldn't find a fulfillment in my life or the answers to life. And I had tried the things in life that they say make you happy, get married, have a child, travel. And there wasn't anything that was fulfilling for me. And in the end, my identity was so broken that I didn't have purpose or the significance that would make me feel complete. And so I just cried out to God if he was real. And I had an encounter with him by myself in my living room, and I met the eyes of love. Now, I don't mean he was there, but I had the impression of his eyes, and it radically turned my life right then and there. It was a radical conversion that I experienced. And then another significant time was in identity finding on that journey when I went on my journey to the United States. I went on my motorcycle by myself. I traveled for 6 months, but it was on the way to Blue Ridge Mountain, and on the way down, it was like a wrought iron went in my back, and there was this strength and a courage that I had attained that I knew that I could do anything.
So proud of you. Honestly, I can relate. When I was going through my first venture of business, I started as a jewelry designer, and I used to take broken jewelry and revamp it. And then at that time, I was the only one designing jewelry in it. It wasn't very popular. All of a sudden, everyone was doing it, so I couldn't attend markets. And I'm like, God, please! Like, I spoke to him, and he actually gave me like a flash of my life of when my mother I was at the shelter, and give me the idea of clothing. And then from there I said, thank you, God. Like, I didn't like, you never know, but he listens and sees everything. So
Yes.
I hope this gives a light to anyone else, and gives them a note to look in, that you're not alone in life, that you always
Yes.
have someone there.
Yes. That's excellent.
Yeah. So, what was the biggest challenge when you were writing your story? And how did you overcome it? And what advice would you give to the other writers that are coming on board?
Yeah. So that's an interesting question. In the timeline of my story, my dad had just passed away. And so that was a challenge in itself, just in the time that it occurred, because I had signed up to write the book, and to be able to put my hand to it meant I had to go back a little bit and then write about my family, and to be able to do that with my dad just passing away, and then trying to do the celebration of life, and then also to be his executor. There was just a lot of challenges in that, and it's how do you manage to do life in the midst of challenges. And so the time frame for me to write it was very minimal. And yeah, it challenged me and strengthened me in a different way. And I just like to say that there are times when life throws a lot at us that we don't expect. But if we can really just center in and center down and find that place of peace, that we can manage things and be able to put our hand to them.
And honestly, your story was astonishing, even though knowing that small frame of time that you had, because you did tell me, look, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. Go, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry to hear. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, she goes, give me some time, give me time, give me time. I go, okay, we're going to give you time as much as you need.
Yeah.
Just, let me know where you're at. Like, I need to know where you're at. Right.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, but you managed to do it. I'm so proud of you. Honestly,
Yeah.
it was amazing. So, any advice for future writers?
Yeah, if you have a dream, do it. Like just trust it. Like for me, like I can say that for years and years and years I wanted to do this, but there was this time that was just appropriate, and that was when I met you. And you made it, and the editor, Kathy, made it so
Yeah.
much easier to understand that you're not alone and that you can do things. Just don't diminish yourself or don't diminish your dream. Chase your dream, because if it's there, it will be fulfilled.
You know what I loved about your story? You really took a positive outlook even though you went through so much, because you've gone a lot, but how you overcame it and how you gave a positive light for others, that, you even put your number there if anyone was reading it to contact you or email you, that
Mhm.
you're there if you're struggling through something and you
Mhm.
don't have anyone that they can contact you, and you're open hearted
Mhm.
for that,
I
which
am.
was so loving of that
I
part.
am. Yes.
um, how has your personal journey shaped the way you empower and uplift others today?
Yeah, that's been a learning curve for me, especially when you look at how because it was Jesus. And so how people perceive you is definitely different. And I find that relationship versus religion are a can be a stumbling block, especially here in North America, because we have this persona of what religion is. And so to be able to share from the heart and not the head, to be able to share with people without preaching at people has been something I've had to learn, because I was so radical about it. I just wanted everybody to know that there was life and that there was a love for them that was real. But I've grown and I've understood that you need to be very careful what you say to who, but when people are open to have that heart share in any topic for anything, then to be able to be perspective with that, with other people, and then to apply that where they're at, not where you're at.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the best thing also is to have that support and know that you can support that person even though, and guidance, giving that guidance, right? Okay, maybe you don't understand this part, but maybe just give it a chance or try it out, or, pick up a Bible and read a phrase and see if it like helps you out. But don't, yeah, I know what you mean. It's very, people may look at you as strange because you're really, I believe in God, and everything I do is a source to that. And I teach my kids that you need to have a balance in life of faith and reality and everything that's going around. And faith is a very big thing to have in your family and your everyday life, right?
Yeah,
It's like gratitude, right?
it is gratitude. Attitude of gratitude is very
Hmm.
significant and important.
If you can give one, if you could give one piece of advice to someone facing a similar struggle that you went through, what would that be?
To really understand addictions, it's for me, it was a broken identity. It really truly was. I believed a lot of lies that were not a truth about myself. And I lived in those lies. And so, for anybody that's struggling with that aspect, and especially addiction, because addiction is really just an escape out of how we really feel about ourselves, or the escape of things that have happened to us. And to be able to be vulnerable and to be open and honest with yourself and then with others, it's significant to be able to start that process of not denying where you're at, to be honest with yourself, and then find a safe place to be honest with others is a great place to start that journey of really finding out who you really are, and not only who you really are, but the what you can complete in your life, what you can attain out of that. And so it depends where the person is and how you start with them, or how where they are in their head. And just knowing that life and life abundant, they can go from their head to their heart.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are judgmental to addiction. I know I was. I used to judge my mom. Why did you put up with my dad? I could not understand why. But then when I wrote my story, it helped me really analyze my dad's past, my mother's past,
Yeah.
and I got to figure out why my father was depressive, why he thought the drinking was his as and that space of letting go of everything and thinking it will go away or whatsoever, that momentary um drinking of highness, right?
Yeah.
And then I go, wow, it all comes together. And if he would have had a support system that would have helped him and finding another route of not taking a drink or
Yeah.
going out for a walk or petting a dog or talking to someone or dancing, doing something more productive,
Yep.
it probably would have helped him and not be where he lost everything, right? So
Yeah.
it's sad that it takes that to go to kind of learn from
Hmm.
and empower yourself like you did. And that's what I loved about your story. It showed your journeys and what you did wrong. You were very honest to yourself.
Yes.
um, and you didn't hide like, okay, yeah, I was addictive and I didn't want my kids and this and that, and like, I had to put them there and I didn't know what my life was. But then you came to par and say, you know what, this is not what I want anymore. I want to really live my life and have that peace and really live it, because right now you're living it, right?
Yes.
You get to see your son, you get to see your grandchildren, things like that, which is really impactful. And I'm glad you got it early. Some people don't get there. So that's a very empowering moment for you, right?
It's very true. Yeah. And one of the things I will highlight in what you said is that there was no casting of blame. That is to choose to forgive and not blame others, and to be able to have an understanding, like you're saying about your dad, that broken people produce broken people. They
That's
just
it.
don't know how to parent. And we can be very, our identity is broken from our parents. They are supposed to be protectors and nurturers. And if that doesn't happen, then we find ourselves in a bit of a broken place. And then to be able to understand that they've suffered, and to be able to give them the grace, and then you can free yourself by giving grace to others.
Mm-hmm. It's true. It took me when he was dying, honestly,
Mhm.
to forgive him,
Mhm.
because I didn't do the book at that time. And I said, okay, Dad, it's okay. You can leave. We forgive you for everything that you've done. Go peacefully. You didn't know better. Like, you don't know better, right? And you don't
Yeah.
do it on purpose because you don't want to do that harm to anyone as a human being. But it's the way you just trickled through life thinking that, there's nothing better, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then when I did the story, honestly, I took like maybe a big weight off my shoulder, because it
Mhm.
really allowed me to puzzle in all the pieces and understand my mom too, why she put up with my dad. In the olden days, they used to put up with a lot, right?
That's right.
And there wasn't shelters like they have now, even though they're overboarded right now. There's no room for anyone, but they didn't have the counseling like they have like today. It's more open minded. Before,
That's
it was
right.
hidden.
Yeah,
Everything was hidden, right?
that's
So
right.
hidden doors, no one knew about anything, everyone was normal, right? So that's why, yeah, it takes maturity. Basically, it's probably maturity that really instills in you with time, and analyzing your life and
Yes.
analyzing his life. And
Yeah.
forgiveness was my big load off my shoulders.
Yeah.
And
It's
my mom
it's a
too.
choice
Yeah.
too, right? To choose to forgive. It is
Yeah.
a choice. It doesn't mean that you give them the permission for the abuse or the things that happen or the neglect. It gives you freedom. And
Hmm.
then you extend grace to the other person, but your heart becomes free. And then when your heart becomes free, that's how you rise up.
That's it. You've got it right, pinpointed right there.
Yeah.
So I notice, I remember you telling me that you have a book launch coming up. So when is that? When do
Yes,
you
it's
have?
on April the 12th. It's
Okay.
local. A friend of mine is hosting it,
Okay.
which is exciting. There's an invite out for that. Um,
Wonderful.
yeah, April the
And that's
12th
in
from 1 to 4.
Port Dover.
It's actually just outside of Waterford.
Oh, okay.
It's a fiber farm or Rita's Tea Room,
Oh,
either or. It's the corner of Cockshut Road and the 11th concession. So we're country here.
oh,
Yeah.
that's so nice. And you
Yeah.
know what? I'm looking forward to having you hopefully come to Toronto for the book signing at the Indigo. That's going to be April 27th. So April is your big month there.
It
A lot
is.
of
I'm
book
looking
signing,
forward
right?
to it. Yes. And I
Yeah.
have that in my schedule to be there.
Yeah, so we're going to be at Indigo at the Wells at 10 a.m. So come and say hello. Come and bring your book. Order it online on Amazon, and then bring your book so that the girls can sign it there. And you can talk to the authors. It's really nice to get that story of reading it and meeting the author itself, and the pictures. So tell us a little bit about your pictures in your story.
Right. So one picture is obviously me on my motorcycle, and I'd mentioned that I actually took a 6 months journey by myself, and it was
Mhm.
pretty incredible. So that was part of my life. I rode for 22 years. And then the other pictures are of a tree, and that tree is I call Tree Beautiful, which was a sapling, which I talk about in my story in my book about understanding. I was in, let's just say, looking for love in all the wrong places, because we
Yeah.
look to have that approval and that support and that love that, you find out that that's not necessarily the completeness of it. And in that challenge, that little sprig of a tree, the seedling, ended up growing into a tree that was really quite beautiful. And God just said that was me on the journey of healing and broken identity, that I became a strong tree, and it was Tree Beautiful. And then just this last year, so it's in a garden that I have at the campground. This last year, there was a sprout that came off that tree, a little
Oh.
seedling. And so
Oh.
now that little seedling is the beginning of my new journey as I've transitioned out of a season of, well, I was worked in construction for 11 years. And that was a different part of the journey to get a little bit of a new identity. But now I'll take that and then just move forward. So I'm in a transition season, and that little sapling is part of the new part of my journey.
See how you connected everything? That's so astonishing. So I am so proud of you. I am so proud of all of the authors. As I mentioned, this was the easiest one for me. um, I feel blessed because, you guys flowed all together. The stories came in on time. I didn't have to struggle and get anyone, well, one, but yeah, that's another story.
Mhm.
But yeah, all of you guys coordinated. Kathy was amazing. She's an amazing editor. She's been the editor for 2 books, and she's going to be for the next book, hopefully.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I'm looking forward to that. And if you do have a true story, please connect with us. We would love to share your story. This is a passion project to help others. So I know when we were like, if I was going through what I was going through, and I picked up a book and it encouraged me to really pick myself out and continue onwards, I think that would be a lot. And I think all these ladies have done that with their stories, is to really uplift you and empower you to the next level of life. So thank you so much for being my guest, Cindy.
Thank you.
Any
Thank
last
you.
words to any future authors?
Yeah, like I said, if you've got a dream and you want to put it to paper, definitely take that challenge and do so. You'll understand more about yourself in that journey. And if you just even to start journaling is a good beginning. If I've
Mhm.
taken years to journal. So yeah, just do it.
Thank you so much. Stay
Yeah.
blessed. I can't wait
Thank
to
you.
see you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you. Thank
Susie.
you. Lots of
Talk to
kisses.
you.
Okay. Take
Yeah.
care. Stay strong.
Bye.